Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another edition of The Lap Down. And I am your host, as always, Greg Farmer. And tonight we have JP, Tyler, Ryan, and Valentino is back with us tonight. How are we doing, fellas?
Really good. How are we doing?
Really good.
Quite well. I'm getting over a little head cold that I've had most of the weekend, but feeling good enough to do this tonight.
Hey, that's a plus.
Yep. Good.
As always, a big thank you to our songwriters, the Alkali Project, for the intro and outro music. Please be sure to check out their album, The Blood World. And we are just going to dive right in because we have a lot to cover tonight, boys. We have a lot more silly season news today. It was announced today that the Wood Brothers are going to be doing a driver announcement tomorrow, and all signs indicate that Josh Berry will be going to the 21 in 2025.
That's an interesting move, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Now, one at a time, my question for that is, do you think Rodney Childers goes with him? Are they a package deal, or does Rodney go somewhere else? Valentino.
I think maybe Rodney Childers might ride over with him, just considering they've been working together for a while already. With Kevin Harvick leaving, they started working together like pretty early. So, I mean, I think he might ride over with him. So we'll see what happens.
What about you, JP?
I honestly feel like don't bust up a good marriage. Who keeps are kind of like a marriage. You can't bust up a good marriage. So I see him go with him.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, if Ford is smart, they will keep those two together.
I 100% agree with that.
But I don't necessarily know. I mean, especially with that Wood Brothers car, that hasn't been synonymous with smart decisions as of late. So to say that it's a guarantee that those two stick together, I just missed my turn.
Nice job, Ryan. Anyway.
For our listeners out there, Ryan is driving home as we are recording this, so.
I'm sure he's hands-free, so don't freak out on him.
Tyler, what are your thoughts about Josh Berry going to the 21?
I personally think they should be a package deal with Rodney Childers, because I don't know how he's going to do with Drew over there.
I mean,
because Rodney and Josh Berry have worked together since great since day one. They get along well. They're doing very well in a very, I wouldn't say mid-tier Ford team right now. That the lost factory support, more than likely. I guarantee they probably lost factory support from Ford. Their rumors are switching manufacturers, and Josh Berry is outperforming his equipment just like Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, I don't see the Wood Brothers straying away from Ford, though, honestly.
Oh, hands up. No.
Ford's not going nowhere.
Ford's not going nowhere with the Wood Brothers, but I was talking about Haas, is what I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was referring to, is that they probably lost support because of going down to one car.
Yeah. But, I mean, even if Stewart Haas Racing was staying open this year, this was their last year with the Ford contract, and it was heavily rumored that they were going back to Chevy. So Haas, like the Haas factory team that we talked about last week, may end up going to Chevy anyways.
Either Chevy or I've actually heard more rumors about Toyota, actually.
So Ryan, you had something to say?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to take a call real quick. What were we talking about?
We were talking about we're still on the Josh Berry subject. we were talking about Stewart Haas Racing. If they were to stay open, they would most likely go to Chevy next year, considering this is their last year with Ford. So the Haas factory team may go to Chevy, but Tyler said he heard that Toyota was also rumored.
I mean, that was rumored at the beginning of the year, even before Haas.
Sorry, got another
Before
call.
Haas even was going to close down. That was a rumor that they were going to switch to Toyota or something like that at the end of the year, next year anyway, regardless. A rumor. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
I think Toyota's got enough teams that they don't
Yeah.
need a one-car Haas operation.
But can you imagine if they put the right person in that car, was backed by HMS?
Yeah.
What did you say, Tyler?
I said,
Like Raja?
can you imagine if the Haas went back to Chevy and backed by HMS?
I mean, I can see that. I mean,
You
that'd
put
be
Raja behind the
that'd
wheel.
be a fair bit more
I heard
logical there.
I heard rumors it was Cole Custer.
Yeah, it's almost certainly going to
Well,
be Cole Custer if Custer
no.
doesn't have another ride, which
I heard Cole Custer's going to the Cup Series next year.
That, that's what we're talking about. But
Yeah,
well,
so-
let me ask you this question then, and while we're on the subject, real quick, if let's say Cole Custer does go to come back to the Cup Series next year for the Haas factory team, it was also reported that Haas is keeping both of the Xfinity Series cars. Now, let's say Riley Herbst gets a ride in the Cup Series. Who fills those two Xfinity Series cars?
Putting Riley Herbst in that Cup car is a stupid idea, but
I 100 that is.
Well, you got some great up and coming like truck drivers. I could definitely take the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Majeski's interested, I think you offer one seat
for sure.
to him for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
Either time Majeski.
Well-
you know what would be good, honestly?
Christian Eckes,
Yeah, I was thinking either Christian Eckes or somebody.
Well,
Nick
but-
Sanchez.
Let me put this thought in your head real quick. Let's say that the rumor that Tyler heard is true. Let's say the Haas factory team does go to Toyota next year. Who's to say they may not get the Truex brothers in the Xfinity Series? Truex Jr. is stepping away from full-time Cup Series competition, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't run a full Xfinity Series season, and he can do it alongside his brother.
That'd be cool, but I don't see that happening. I think he'll step away.
I'd be hard pressed to find a reason why Herbst wouldn't be back in that car unless it was something contractual about him being contracted to Ford. But I doubt that Ford would bother trying to keep him.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the silly season news,
why would? Oh, sorry. Good.
No, go ahead, JP. Go ahead.
So I don't know if you guys saw, but this bombshell dropped today. Haley Deegan out with the 15 and Joey Logano in for this weekend.
Yeah, that's another thing on the rundown already, JP.
I was going to mention something while we were talking about MTJ. I mean, this is completely conspiracy theorist type deal, but just you remember whenever Kyle Busch told Joe Gibbs he was leaving Joe Gibbs, and he had to continue on the season with him until the end of the season before he went over to before everybody knew he went to Richard Childress and all that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he started having a lot of issues.
Yes. I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist guy, but I think that maybe JGR doesn't really give the people the great equipment once they learn that they're not going to be running.
And that's where I think the Kyle Busch versus Truex thing differs a bit, because Truex is leaving on fairly good terms and he's just flat out retiring. It's not like, the two disagreed and were fighting in the media the way that Kyle Busch was with the team, saying like, "Hey, true. They haven't offered me a deal. Ask Coach Joe," and how they were pretty visibly going at it. And then Kyle left for a rival organization. Truex had done well for them and is quietly retiring and gave them an earlier notice because they asked him to.
I
Yep,
just,
and I mean
honestly,
That's the
the
difference
same
I see there is
go ahead,
the
Greg.
same thing happened with Dale Jr. back in '07 when he said that he was leaving DEI and going to Hendrick. All of a sudden, the second half of the season, his cars just started randomly breaking and engine failures.
I guarantee you Teresa Erner had something to do with that one, though.
well, yeah, that one probably.
Yep. But while we're on the silly season stuff, something happened today that is actually affecting this current season. Hooters filed for
Is leaving.
bankruptcy,
Yep.
and abruptly that terminated their partnership with Hendrick Motorsports. So we will no longer see the Hooters car in the Cup Series for the foreseeable future. Now they were slated to be the main sponsor for Chase Elliott at the upcoming race in Richmond. But now that begs the question, who is going to sponsor him for that race? Will it be his primary Napa car, or will they have to buy sponsorship?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, Buffalo.
Sponsor him?
Oh,
Oh
man.
my lord!
No, he'll
that was
probably be in
too
the
good.
Napa car. If I had to guess. But that stinks. I have a couple Hooters shirts.
Yeah, it's gonna suck though seeing that. But did you notice before they even announced it? Did you notice the lack of Hooters on Chase's car though?
Yeah, that was pointed out on Sunday and early yesterday. The only sight that you saw of Hooters was on the crew member suits because they can't necessarily be altered that quickly to remove those patches and whatnot from the suits.
Yeah.
But
Well,
It actually
I
reminds
don't
me a
know.
lot of the IK9 sponsorship. If you guys remember that controversy from, I think, 2019. They were sponsoring Jeffrey Earnhardt and a couple other drivers in Xfinity races for Joe Gibbs Racing. They missed the deadline, and Joe Gibbs started taking down all the IK9 logos. And they were back up like a day or two later when IK9 finally got the check to them.
Yep.
So
it just kind of sucks because the last time that we saw Hooters in victory lane before Chase Elliott was Alan Kulwicki back in 1992 when he won the championship, and then we went on a 32-year winless streak for Hooters until Chase Elliott finally got him in victory lane earlier this year at Texas, and that's the last time we're going to see Hooters in victory lane, maybe forever.
There's a little bit of an asterisk though, because Hooters as a sponsor wasn't in NASCAR for like 20 of those years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Hooters really wasn't in NASCAR from 92 till
16.
Well, here's another bad thing too, because Chase Elliott, he's got his own chicken tender place, and who makes his chicken tenders? Hooters.
I'm gonna say this right now, Ryan. Back to that. Hooters hasn't raced since 2004 with Jeffrey Bodine.
Yeah, I was gonna say the number 11 car that used to run there. But
if you go on like Uber Eats, they have like they have like different restaurants that aren't even like real restaurants. They use
they're ghost kitchens.
Yeah, exactly. And so Chase Elliott has Chase Elliott's chicken tenders. Have you ever seen them?
I actually have. I have one restaurant of that up here.
Yeah, and that's and it just comes from Hooters. He's going to be losing out some money on that. I think that's what's going to be bad for him. But that's bad. I love Hooters, man, and too bad. We'll just go over to Twin Peaks.
I got wings over here, so I'm good.
I got Buffalo Wild Wings over here, so I'm good.
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't got B-dubs over here, unfortunately, anymore. They closed all of them over here.
All right.
I had B-dubs last
Applebee's,
night.
okay, Applebee's is good, though. I respect that.
Exactly.
As long as Mike Harmon's there.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So, We're going to go back to the 21 car real quick. We'll go one by one on this. Carson Hocevar was fined $50,000 and docked 25 driver points today for intentionally wrecking Harrison Burton under caution at Nashville on Sunday. Now, considering his track record over the last 2 or 3 years, was the penalty too stiff or was it not enough? Valentino.
I think it was just right on the money. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, everybody's under caution. It's embarrassing when you spin another car because you're angry about something on track.
I saw a driver do that today.
And even Denny Hamlin called for him to get punished. So,
he deserves it if he did. Honestly.
Yeah,
that's really dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb to do that. And then he's had some really hard words to say. I think he said some really nasty words over the mic there during the race. But, it is what it is. I think it was a right on the money from NASCAR. You just got to be on your P's and Q's out there and be professional on the track.
What was the penalty again? I forgot.
50,000 and docked 25 points, yeah.
I mean, he finished second and lost 25 points. How do you think he feels about that? I would feel like shit, honestly.
That was Zane Smith who finished second.
Yeah, you got the wrong track. Or not
that was my bad. He's the 70. Oh, wait. Yeah, Kosovar's the 71.
77.
Yeah.
77.
Oh, I guess he's a repeat offender.
Oh, yeah,
he's done that in trucks before on his road to Cup.
He was issued a 2-lap penalty at that
truck race. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep. JP, what are your thoughts on it?
The penalty fits the crime.
The judge just ruled it.
Short, sweet, to the point. What about you,
sir.
Ryan?
I mean, if memory serves me correct, it's not too far off from what Byron got for doing the same thing to Denny Hamlin in Texas, a year or two ago?
Byron never got penalized for that.
Byron
that's right.
Yeah, Byron
no,
got
he
penalized
didn't.
for that.
No, he didn't.
He did not.
He did not, no. And I know what you're talking about, but he did not get penalized.
I thought
at
for
all.
Sure he got a penalty for that. I looked that up.
And now,
no, that was a big topic of conversation that was brought up today when they announced the penalty, was that Byron never got penalized for wrecking Hamlin.
Because I thought Byron did get a penalty for that.
Nope.
And I think I know what you're. I think I know it. Like, there was another one that I think you were also saying that they got a penalty, if I'm not mistaken. But not Byron.
I know Byron was part of the Luber penalty a couple weeks earlier at Phoenix.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But I thought he got a second penalty for the Texas thing too.
Yeah.
No, he did not.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Just
a 2-lap penalty.
Tyler, what about you?
I 100% agree. I mean, to be fair, yeah, the penalty fits the crime. He shouldn't have wrecked him. He should have minded his P's and Q's and controlled his anger. He's the hothead. There's a lot of hotheads in NASCAR. Don't get me wrong.
Now, to play devil's avocado just a little bit for Hocevar here, it did look like the 21 may have brake checked him when he was coming up to give him just a little love tap potentially. Although I think we all know that he was trying to do more than that potentially. But I don't know. I haven't seen the telemetry or whatever from the race. But if he did get brake checked, I mean, that's at least some argument towards.
Well, this is what
worse because of what Burton did and not because of what Hocevar did.
Well, here's my thing too about it, I forgot. You look at what happened to barring these two incidents were on two different clouds, but similar speeds. Coming to the caution, he shouldn't have done that. just like Kyle Busch did in Texas. Caution was all the way out. It could have really hurt
All right, it's
someone.
cutting out a bit. I don't know if somebody can repeat
Are
that.
you?
I mean, I don't think that accident would have hurt anybody. To be honest, it was really, really slow.
It was just an inside turn.
Yeah,
He was just really
and
Okay.
the Kyle Busch
Someone
thing
repeat
at
what JP
Texas.
said?
He was comparing it to the Kyle Busch Ron Hornaday incident from Texas a long time ago, and the difference between this and that is the Kyle Busch incident. He literally turned Hornaday head on into the wall at full speed.
Yeah.
Well, he also chased him down for that one too. For Hocevar, I mean, they were basically just catching the field when it happened. But if I remember correctly, the Kyle Busch at Hornaday one, he had to chase Hornaday down through a couple of cars.
Yeah,
Versus
but
this one where both drivers were still catching the field.
now my question is, Friday night in the Truck Series race, Lane Riggs did the exact same thing to someone and got held for 2 laps. Was it and obviously, NASCAR caught that like immediately. Was this maybe something that NASCAR didn't catch initially, and that's why we're getting the penalty 2 days later, or is it different because it's the Truck Series versus the Cup Series?
At what point in the Cup race did the Hocevar thing happen?
Second overtime, I
don't remember exactly what.
It said, hold on, it says it right here.
Second overtime?
I'm not sure exactly. I think I had stepped away from the TV when that particular moment happened.
But they were in
I can't be sure.
But they were in overtime, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It could
I
just
want
be
to say yeah.
The difference there could be the fact that they didn't want to drastically change the picture of the overtime with the players involved versus Lane Riggs, which happened earlier in the race, and they were able to dock him 2 laps, and he could still race from 2 laps down.
The incident occurred within 56 laps remaining in the final stage of the race.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't even in overtime.
Yeah, it said 56 laps.
He definitely could have assessed a 2-lap penalty there. I was going to say, if it was in overtime, I could see them not wanting, because a 2-lap penalty in overtime, you might as well just park him at that point.
Yeah.
Versus if it's a 2-lap penalty with 50-something to go, where he can still race from there.
Yeah.
Overcome a penalty. So.
Well, speaking of overtime, at Nashville Sunday night, and my best impression of Oprah Winfrey, you get an overtime, everybody gets an overtime. And by the way, you don't get much gas to go with that.
Unless you're Joey Logano.
Joey Logano somehow survived 5 overtime attempts, which is a Cup Series record. And stretched his fuel tank 110 laps from his final pit stop to secure his first points win of the season and his first points win since Atlanta in March of 2023. All 3 Penske cars are now locked into the playoffs, with all 3 of them winning in the last 5 races. Starting with Valentino, is Team Penske the current favorites for the playoffs, and could they go back-to-back on Cup Series championships?
Back-to-back, you mean?
Yeah, they're already back-to-back.
Yeah, back-to-back now.
I don't think that they're gonna win the championship this year. Just because. Go ahead. You go ahead, Tyler.
I was saying they're not very fast. They just Joey Logano and Carson Samir snuck their way into wins. Ryan Blaney is the only true consistent one, honestly.
Yeah.
And Blaney Blaney probably deserved 2 wins there in a row.
Yeah, Blaney should have had 2 in a row.
Yep.
If it weren't for some sort of mismanagement on the fuel there.
Yep. Go ahead, Valentino. Continue what you were saying.
Like Tyler was saying, I don't think that Penske had much speed throughout the year. I mean, they're starting to get get a hold of the car now, get a little bit more speed in end of the season, getting towards the end of the season. But I honestly think that if I had to make a prediction right now, it's probably going to be a Hendrick car to win a championship this year. Maybe
Either
even
Hendrick-
Will
I
and
don't know
Byron.
there.
Either Gibbs or Hendricks. It's gonna be between Gibbs and Hendricks this year.
I think
either
Bell is a real.
Yeah,
Whoa,
Christopher Bell.
whoa, shoot! This guy just flew by me, and I'm going over the speed limit. He's going at least 110.
You okay over there, Ryan?
As long as that guy's not behind me, yes.
I mean, I'm driving on the streets of Chicago right now, so you can't really feel bad for me.
I'm just sitting here saving my fuel. Trying to nurse at 110 laps.
Sounds like Joey Logano, huh?
No, JP,
Prius to save him the fuel.
JP, what do you think about Team Penske getting hot all of a sudden?
Hot. That's what I have to say. And it's going to be Austin Cindric winning a championship for Team Penske.
What?
No,
JP,
you are
saying
high.
Wow. What
But
a
again,
That is
bold
literally the most absurd
prediction.
option you could have said.
To be
I
fair,
tell
he
you
picked
what.
Corey Haim to win last week.
If JP put money on that, he'd be the richest guy in the
You're
world.
taking
Had that
Corey
happen.
Haim for a solid finish, and not necessarily picking Corey Haim specifically to win. 'Cause I don't think he said Corey Haim specifically was going to win.
No.
Well, I will.
His win pick might have gone at that point, but
I
to
will
say
give
Cindric's going to win the
JP.
championship.
I will give JP this much. Corey Haim did look good for a good portion of the race up until he got involved in one of those crashes.
Yeah, he was doing good for my fantasy team too until then.
Yeah, he was looking for like a good top 10, top 15 finish.
Rumor has it that 2311 might pick up Corey Haim for next season anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they need some Xfinity drivers.
They need an Xfinity team, honestly. I do agree on it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll buy a couple of the.
Honestly, Toyota's got a good Xfinity program with Joe Gibbs Racing, and they're developing enough talent, if not too much talent, arguably, for the amount of seats that they have.
Well, they have the Xfinity car at 97, don't they?
No, you're talking about
That's
changed.
SVG.
Yeah, SVG's riding with that for. He's driving for.
We
You
were
mean,
talking about Denny
Pollock?
Hamlin and
He's a
2311.
Pollock right now.
Is it Colleague? Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't
he's
know
a
that.
Chevy. He's
It
Chevy.
almost
Yeah.
looks like a one of what's his name's cars. Freak! I'm just losing my mind right now. Sorry. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll figure it out later.
But yeah, 2311. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Trackhouse. Sorry, Trackhouse. That's who I was talking about.
But yeah, when it
97.
comes to 2311, though, they don't really. I don't think they need an Xfinity program, mainly because Toyota's got so much talent, and in particular, so much young talent in their pipeline, and even at the top level, that they really don't need a development team. Similar to the same problem at Hendrick, where development drivers for
Too much
Hendrick
Chevy.
don't really have anywhere to go to move
Chevy in
upwards
general.
without leaving. Yeah, I mean, Chevy in general, although you do have guys like Austin Dillon who could be out. You've got Kyle Busch who could potentially retire earlier than expected. You've got a couple of seats like that could open up. You've got the colleague cars that could open up for a talented driver if a driver proves themselves talented enough for that seat.
I do also want to say this. I don't know if you guys want to say something real quick. Ron, if we're talking about drivers, Justin Haley might go to the 34 car.
I doubt it.
I think he's staying with Rick Ware.
Yeah, especially after his comments where he's like, "Hey, I'm doing whatever is best for Rick because Rick's already gone out of above and beyond to save my career." Was pretty close to the exact quote that he said to the media when asked about it.
Yep. But going back to what Tyler said about Penske not having a lot of speed and stuff, if you go back to last year with Blaney winning the championship, he wasn't really all that great during the regular season, and then he just went on an absolute tear in the playoffs. So, I mean,
Well,
who's to
he really didn't
say?
even go on a tear in the playoffs until the last two races.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah.
who's to
No,
say?
he was fast all throughout the playoffs. He was just didn't get the wins until the second to last two races.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yep.
who's to say that Team Penske, you know, they don't have the pressure on them now to win a race to get in the playoffs. They can prep for the playoffs and just go and freaking dominate the playoffs.
I mean, just use another Penske example from a couple years ago, 2018. I remember Brad Keselowski going on a 3-race win streak at Darlington, at Indy, and at Vegas to open up the playoffs. And then he was eliminated in the round of 12 immediately after his win streak.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could also look at 2015 as well, when Joey Logano swept all 3 races in a round and then got knocked out in the final 8.
Well, yeah, but you could also chalk that one up to Matt Kenseth showing up.
Yeah.
But the Brad Keselowski one was just due to him having absolutely no speed immediately after a 3-race win streak. So, just to show you the highs and lows of Team Penske.
Yeah, but so this next question, starting with Valentino, how many overtimes is too many, considering how many we had the other night, and should there be a limit on overtime attempts?
Never, ever, ever should there be a limit on overtime attempts. Keep going, keep going. Don't give the win to some daggum loser up in the front. Let them keep going until until the winner is the winner. For real. I don't care about it, man. I just want them to keep going. If there's a wreck, rack them up.
What about you, JP?
I kind of feel the same way, but I have an analogy that. But my analogy is, if you're to the back straightaway with 1.5 laps to go, don't throw the caution. Unless it's really bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, JP. Sometimes you just have to throw the caution so you can get safety vehicles out there right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I do see where he's coming from, because if you go back and watch the final lap of the race the other night, when they were coming off of turn 4 to take the white flag, there was a car that was spinning around, hitting the wall, and then they take the white flag, and then you had Truex and Suarez wreck in turn 2, and then they come off of turn 4 again to get the checkered, and Chase Elliott goes flying through the grass for the second time that night. So there was literally 3 wrecks within a lap and a quarter that never saw the caution.
Yeah.
I think NASCAR at that point was just like, you know what, screw it, we got to finish this.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, honestly, I think now.
I'm going to go back to what Greg said. If they took the white flag and they waved the caution, the race is over. It freezes the field.
Yeah. And that's something that NASCAR has been doing. I mean, you even look back to Pocono last year, where they will wait to throw the caution ridiculous amounts of time to try and stretch it so they can throw the white so they can throw the yellow after the white. In fact, I think that's what a lot of us in the stands thought they were doing at New Hampshire last week, when there was that crash with 2 to go, or coming to 2 to go. A lot of us in the stands thought that was coming to the white flag, and they were trying to wait to throw the caution after they take the white flag so that they could just be over with the race, no overtime at that point. But, I remember Pocono being a big thing about that, and either a wreck warrants a caution or it doesn't. You either throw the caution flag, or you, when the crash happens, or you let them race it out the entire time. It shouldn't be a thing of, we're going to wait to throw the caution, we're going to wait to throw the caution, we're going to wait to throw the caution for 10, 15, 20 seconds. I mean, standard reaction time I can understand, but...
Can I say my
Potentially,
opinion on this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
Go ahead,
my
Tyler.
personal opinion is I think 5's way too many.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why? And why is that?
I think, honestly, you go back to what they had in 2010, in the early 2010s, 3 green, white checkered. And after that green, white checkered, the caution comes out, the race is over.
Early
I don't, too
early
many.
2010s, they didn't have that. They had one attempt.
No, they had 3. They had 3 attempts up until
That was-
2015. 2015, they went to 1 attempt.
I thought it was after 2015 they went up to 3.
No, it was up to 2015. They were up to 3 because they did 3 at Daytona. Remember that big wreck at Daytona where Dale Jr. won with Austin Dillon going into the fence?
Yeah.
Coke 0400.
So they went to 1 restart. They went to 1 overtime restart after that for safety.
Yeah, because they did the.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that because they did the same thing at Talladega where Junior got screwed out of a win because of Kevin
Because they only
Harvick
had one overtime
wrecking the
attempt,
field.
Yep.
But they technically didn't see the green flag.
But the fact is, I personally like the overtime system. I just think they need to limit how many they have.
I mean, I think personal opinion here, I think 3 attempts is plenty. I think
I agree.
you give them 3 tries, 3 strikes and you're out type of thing. Gives them
big.
3 chances to get it done correctly. If you can't get it done within 3, you might as well just throw the caution
and call it a race.
Well, no offense, but
at
people
that
come
point,
to watch
I also think at that point it gives teams a way to actually strategize fuel wise because like Hamlin and them, they budgeted for overtime. Nobody could have predicted 5 overtimes.
Right.
No, you're right.
You're
but
right.
I think
You're
people
right.
come to watch a show, and I don't think NASCAR shouldn't hold back what this show, especially if the race isn't really finished in most of the fans' eyes. I mean, a caution flies
again,
before.
But my point being, I mean, let's use this hypothetical. Let's say that they ended it after 3 restarts. You have a very deserving winner who had fought all day, held off on 3 restarts in Denny Hamlin, versus him having to come down for fuel on the last overtime attempt.
I mean, same goes for Truex too. He was sitting second and had to pit, and then ended up getting wrecked on the last lap. He went from second to being wrecked at the end of the race.
Yeah, and again, and the only reason that they were put in that position is because they had to come in for gas. Because
of course.
The number of overtimes. And it was an unpredictable amount of things when you're racing to lap who knows what.
Yep. But so
if you guys do want to blame the directors on something this week, I did on the live stream. I did say as we were going into the overtime that, what are we going to go to lap 330 or something like that?
And even going 331.
Yeah.
Well, my
how many laps did it actually end up going? Actually,
331.
No way.
Yeah, I was 1 off.
Yeah, because Joey Logano pitted on lap 221, and the race ended on lap 331, so he went 110 laps on that tank of fuel. But
they should have made the race at 330 laps at that point.
My take on the overtime thing, so I'm on the fence. Like, I think 5 was a little too many just because of what was happening, especially in the back of the field. Some of the yellows there on those restarts were caused by guys running out of fuel, obviously. But a few of them were caused by guys in the back of the field trying to get everything they could, and they just kept causing wrecks. So I don't think there should be a limit, but if you go back and look at some of these wrecks from the race the other night, a lot of them were caused by the same guys. And so I think NASCAR may need to take a look at that on these replays when these wrecks happen and be like, okay, well, that guy caused 2 wrecks, causing us 2 overtimes. All right, we're parking him or something, or giving him some sort of penalty.
You know what? I kind of like that, Greg. I like that idea, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
Get rid of the problem.
I still like the idea of having a limit to the amount of overtime rather than it being a thing where
I agree.
Where you're basically doing it, especially now. Obviously, Nashville wasn't a track like this, but if we got into an infinite overtime type situation at a track where you end up racing in the daylight, that's
New
somewhere
Hampshire.
where capping the number of overtimes would also help, because then you're not risking a potential of, do we just end up keeping crashing until eventually we have to call this due to darkness at some point.
Yeah. I see both sides of the story here. I see both sides.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I do an iRace, I usually set it to a limit of 3 green, white checker attempts. Because I figure within 3 attempts, you should be able to get it to. You should at least be able to get to the white within 3 attempts.
Jamie, welcome in.
Hello.
Actually, perfect timing. What's your opinion on how many green, white checkers is too many?
How many are too many?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about the 5 overtime attempts from the other night, and we were discussing whether 5 is too many and should there be a limit on overtime attempts.
I think there should be a limit as far as what that. I think 5 should be the absolute max, though. So I think they would hit their absolute limit last week.
I think 5 is way too much, honestly. I think 3. I think
I've said
3.
it a couple times now. I think 3 is a happy medium, because 3 attempts at it, you should be able to get it within 3. In NASCAR history, with the unlimited overtimes, it's very rare that it ever took 3 overtime attempts. It's rare that it ever took 4, and it never took 5.
It always took 2 or 3. It's always taken 2 or 3.
So I think capping it at 2 or 3, it's going to be rare that you end up ending a race due to running out of overtime attempts. And in the event that you do end up running out of overtime attempts, at that point, the field hasn't deserved a green flag finish.
Fucking the Indy 2021. Indy 2001. Or 2010 for 21, I mean.
I'd have to go back and remember which race that was.
That was the one where the track got destroyed.
It's the one where Casey Kane won, and they had like 3 or 4 overtime attempps.
No, the 2021. I was talking about was where Chase Briscoe spun out Denny Hamlin. And the track
500.
No, I was saying Indy 2021 is what I was saying for overtime.
You need to say Indy Road Course.
That was my bad. My bad. But am I wrong, though?
Well, I don't know what you were comparing that to.
Indy Road Course 2021, how many fucking overtimes it took to finish that race? I think
it took what? 2 or 3?
4. Took 4 on that one.
Oh. Okay. It took
4 on that one, 3 at Coda last year, 2023.
Those ones, I mean, and obviously at a road course, it's going to feel a whole lot longer, because road courses are a whole lot longer to get to that white flag.
Well, look at the last oval race at Indy where Casey Kane won. They had 3 or 4 overtime attempts because they kept wrecking right there at the start-finish line. And then you had Jimmy Johnson going 3 wide, blowing up, going into turn 3.
But even that, I think that only went to what, 2 or 3 overtimes?
I want to say it was 3 or 4, but I honestly can't remember back that far.
I know it didn't hit 5 because 5 was a record tonight, or the other night.
4 was the record. 4 was the record.
Yeah, so most it could have been was 4, and honestly, that Indy race felt longer because of the rain delay in the middle as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like, what, a 2-hour rain delay in the middle of that race as well back in 2017?
Somewhere around there. But I guess we'll just have to see if NASCAR makes any changes. But we're going to go into our green flags and black flags now. And again, as we say every week for our new listeners, green flags is something that we liked about the race weekend, and black flags is something that we did not like. And we will start with Valentino.
All right, so I guess for black flags, I'm gonna have to say, I mean, not to say I didn't really like Kyle Busch to be for a long time, but like I'm starting to like he's starting to grow on me because he's starting to like settle down his anger and like becoming like a cooler guy and stuff. So I mean, I think my black flag is definitely Kyle Busch. It's just not been going well for him lately, and like the whole season, it's just been not going well. And I heard like some rumors that he's been maybe talking with Joe Gibbs again, but I might be wrong.
Those rumors are just coming from his quote a couple weeks ago where he said if Joe Gibbs or if Rick Hendrick welcomed him back, he would go. But I think any driver given Joe Gibbs or Hendrick opportunity would leave their current opportunity for that.
Yeah, I know for a fact that everything's not going very well over RCR with Kyle Busch right now. Because
you got the competition director retiring as well mid-weekend.
Yeah, he just left out.
I don't think him and Andy Petrie got very well.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Andy Petrie didn't get along well with Creed either previously, so it seemed like it was a recurring issue of Andy Petrie being the problem and not the solution.
True. But yeah, my black flag's gonna be Kyle Busch. Just not running well. And my green flags, I mean, I enjoyed this race, honestly. Like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. The racing was great.
It was a good race.
After a few laps, the two lanes went to 3 lanes, and even sometimes 4 lanes. I just love the track, and I think Nashville had probably the most, out of this year at least, the most cars in the grass.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that one, actually.
The most cars in the grass, so I mean, honestly, some hard racing on a flat surface, you got to earn everything you can.
That track was extremely bumpy, too.
Yeah, Nashville, what a show it put on, and honestly, I think it's just going to get better and better for Nashville Super Speedway as the years go on.
Well, I'm excited for the IndyCar season finale there.
IndyCar is always
What, Nashville Super Speedway, IndyCars?
Yep.
Yeah, that's their season finale because the downtown streets are being renovated around the Titan Stadium is getting an overhaul to the renovation, so it's going to make their street course unraceable for a bit. So they're on the Nashville Super Speedway for this year and next.
They might go back to it if it has a good show, though.
They will go back to it because that's going to be a great show.
IndyCar always put on the shorter ovals.
If somebody doesn't end up in the fence, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things. And honestly, I don't know because, again, street course racing is a thing that they seem to love.
Jamie, or not Jamie. JP, what are yours?
So, my green flag has to go to the 71 team of Gainesville. What a run he had. I mean, the kid almost won his first cup race. Yeah, given.
Inspire motorsport stuff, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Inspire Motorsports gets my green flag. And my black flag for the weekend is all the overtimes, I guess. I mean, I enjoy racing, but geez, 5 overtimes? So,
JP, weren't you one of the people like 5 minutes ago that was arguing that that the unlimited overtimes isn't a bad thing?
Oh yeah, I was.
Called him out, Ryan.
And
Okay.
now you're saying that your black flag is the too many overtimes?
I don't see the correlation there, JP. Just saying.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are yours?
All right, so I'm going to go in chronological order with mine. So I'm going to give my black flag out to Joey Logano because there's no way that fuel tank was in regulation, because if you crunch the numbers, let's assume that he gets about 5 miles per gallon under the green flag laps. That means he, under the yellow flag laps that they did have, he would have needed to average about 19 miles to the gallon under the yellow flag.
Which is
Per
theoretically.
lap, which is pretty close to impossible, if not impossible, in a Ford Mustang that has 670 horsepower.
I wouldn't put it past him. He had the damn. Don't forget the wing gloves now. That boy was trying to put the wing gloves in play. He had the wing gloves in play that race.
Yeah.
All right.
Black flags?
So yeah,
Or
so that's
what
my
else you
black
got?
flag. Is that, and the fact that if I remember correctly, they said that they didn't take Logano's car to the R&D center for further investigation either.
Yep. No cars went to R&D.
That seems really odd for a race that it seems like there definitely was questions about the legitimacy of the winner.
Yep.
Yeah, but my green flag, I'm going to give it to NASCAR drivers racing at local tracks. Like today, I was at the reason why I'm in the car right now. I was getting to go watch both Daniel Hemrick out of the College car and Kyle Busch racing at my local short track up here in Maine. And I'm going to be getting to go back and watch them run tomorrow as well. So I'm going to give that as a green flag to the drivers actually going and running at the local tracks.
Yep. Jamie, what are your green flags and black flags?
Green flag, I would probably say, is just the overall racing. I really enjoyed the overall racing this past week. Lots of moves being made. Restarts were crazy. Guys taking a 3-4 wide on the restarts, trying to get as many positions as they possibly could. Honestly, without really talking about the restarts, I would probably have to say my black flag goes to Hocevar. You guys probably already talked about the penalty, but
yep.
I assume so. So, he's got my black flag.
All right. What about you, Tyler?
My green flag, honestly, I'm going to have to, with NASCAR and how they played it out with the rain delay, honestly. They played it perfectly. They called it before halfway to call it so they can drive the track, and they got the race going at a reasonable time.
Yeah, doesn't even take 20 minutes to drive the track.
Yeah, it was also hot too, but
less than an hour.
Yeah, less than an hour to drive the track, and we got back racing. I think
that's crazy.
Within an hour of the storm. And my black flag had to be way too many cautions, not just overtime, just way too many cautions. You're professional drivers, guys. You guys need to get your heads out of your ass and actually race. You guys know how to race. You guys are in the Cup Series. You should not be wrecking like you're in fucking ARCA. Pardon my language. It's not ARCA. You are a NASCAR Cup Series driver. And that goes for Carson Hocevar, too. But I'll finish up real quick. You need to be more professional, is what I'm saying, Carson Hocevar.
Yeah. My green flag and black flag is going to tie together. My green flag goes to the fans who showed up. They sold that place out, and it was
hot as hell too.
Upwards of 105, 110 degrees in the grandstands, and they still showed up and had a great time. And my black flag goes to Nashville Super Speedway. Why in the hell do we not allow coolers in this track?
It's SMI. What do you expect?
But every other
It's
SMI
SMI.
track, you can bring a cooler, but not Nashville. It was
Same way
110
with Dover.
degrees.
I don't think you can bring one to Dover either. Can you, Jamie?
Game.
That's
That's sad.
Yes, you can.
What? Really? They can't bring one to Nashville? What
Yes.
the fuck?
110 degrees in the
Degrees.
grandstands, and they're not allowing coolers in the
Very loose.
grandstands. They need to change that, or people will not show back up.
Yeah,
agree.
they need their beer, they need
Or
their
make it a night
Pepsi,
race.
whatever you're
Or
drinking.
Or make it a night race.
Coca-Cola.
Or
No,
100%.
even if it's a night race, I've been to plenty of night races. I still take a cooler.
I take a cooler
Oh, yeah,
everywhere.
Dude, I brought a fucking cooler, and I went by myself to Watkins Glen, and I brought a fucking cooler.
I brought a cooler to the ice hockey rink.
I bring a cooler to the circuit. I bring
just
coolers.
kidding.
I bring coolers to football games. I bring cooler to baseball games.
That's sad. That's sad. See, Nashville's got to change it. I didn't know that. That's wild.
Even Nissan Stadium doesn't allow coolers.
I will never understand that, and hopefully they change that soon. But going into this weekend, they're racing at the Chicago Street Course for the second year. The weather actually looks fairly better than it did last year.
There is some rain, but it's not like a monsoon.
Yeah, and it was mentioned earlier that Joey Logano will be in the 15 car for AM Racing, replacing Haley Deegan this weekend. Now, whether she has been permanently put out of that ride remains to be seen.
They only said for Chicago because they want a good finish in Chicago.
Yeah. So we are going to go into our race picks. And,
I already know who I'm picking.
I don't know if you guys see my camera. I do have our names on the wheel.
Your camera.
And I will.
If you're on a computer, Greg, unplug your camera and plug it back in.
I'm on my iPad, but our first spin goes to myself. I get first pick this week.
Rigged.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare.
And I am taking Shane Van Gisbergen.
You son of a bitch. That was going to be my pick, you asshole.
Well, obviously, he was going to be the number one overall pick. I don't think any of us were going to
know who I'm
that.
going.
He is going to take that number 16 Windy Saucy Nugs Chevrolet to victory lane this weekend.
Damn you.
All right.
Damn you, Greg.
Spin number 2 goes to Valentino.
Fuck, don't take him. Don't take him. Don't take him now.
I'm going to go with Chase Elliott.
Okay. That's not well. Okay.
All right.
All right. So far, only Elliott and Shane Van Gisbergen are taken, right?
Yep.
Yep. Next is going to go to.
Oh, excuse me for burping, guys. My apologies.
JP, and I know who's coming.
Know who's coming, huh?
I have a pretty good guess here.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Wait, who?
Denny Hamlin. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not who I would have thought.
Not who I thought you were going to pick.
Unexpected. Well, considering Hamlin didn't get picked at all this past weekend, which I'm shocked about.
I was gonna say, looks like we all got lucky with that one, though.
Yep. All
Imagine
right, next
if someone
pick.
had taken Hamlin, how annoyed they would have been.
Or did anybody pick Ross Chastain either?
Yes, my wife did. She picked Ross Chastain, and she was pissed when Chastain got wrecked. Next pick is Tyler.
Tyler Reddick. He had the second pick. He had the one. He other than Shane Van Gisbergen and Justin Haley, he had one of the fastest cars last year.
Yep. All right, down to 2. And it is going to be...
Watch it be Ryan last.
Ryan.
Jamie.
Ryan's last.
Are you kidding me? Like, how many times in a row am I going to pick last?
Like 5 times in a row.
Well,
Like, legitimately, when was the last time I actually picked within the top 6?
Like week 2.
I'm a stick with Larson.
I knew it.
That's a
Jamie
good
took
one.
Larson. I think that's who I thought JP was going to take. I don't know if everybody else.
Actually,
Yeah,
same.
that's what we were all thinking.
Okay.
All right. Last pick, spin the wheel, make sure. And
Make
it
sure
is
it's
indeed
superficial.
going to land on Ryan.
Oh, it didn't land on Craigbot? Okay. Good. I at least beat Craigbot to a. Yeah, no. In all seriousness, though, there's a lot of good options on the table. I could go Ty Gibbs with that road course racing pedigree that he has. Could go Justin Haley after his good run year.
That's a solid pick.
I
Actually,
could go. Yeah, I could go in the direction of maybe just a favorite, take a Kyle Busch or a Michael McDowell, one of my favorites.
I would not.
Win
If
a
I were
road
you,
race.
I would. If I were you, I would not take Kyle Busch.
But I think you know what? I am going to go Michael McDowell. Going to take one of my favorites.
That's
Wow,
not bad.
didn't
That's
see
I
that
was
coming.
between him and AJ Allmendinger. Those were kind of the two I was actually walking.
I didn't even think about.
I just wanted to give some shout outs to some other guys.
I didn't even think about it. Did you see how well AJ performed that Sunday though? Speaking of them,
Yeah.
Well, my only worry with Allmendinger is he's in that 4th colleague car.
I think it's in the 31. 13, I think.
Yeah, he's in the
16,
number
isn't
13.
No, 13.
Oh,
Yeah,
all 4 are racing. Yeah, 31,
he's in the 16.
31.
Yeah, the Hemrick, yeah.
Wait, 31, 13,
16.
16. Who's the
Yeah,
4th car?
Is it
SPG's
just
in
3?
the
It's
16.
just a 3rd car then, I guess.
He's in. They have 4 in Xfinity. If we were thinking.
Yeah, but he's the expansion car for this race, though. So that's what makes me think that he may not have the best of runs. Remember back to Circuit of the Americas when they expanded to 3 cars for that race.
SPG didn't do very good at Road America, honestly.
You mean Circuit of the Americas?
Coda. I call it Coda.
Yeah, you said Road America.
He did. Well,
I did. Yes, I said Road America. Yes, my bad.
Yeah, so Allmendinger actually did get in the top 10 there, and SVG, if I remember, was running well until the midway point when he ended up getting wrecked. I thought.
Are we talking about?
He did.
Are we talking about the? Are we talking about the Cup Series race or the Xfinity race at Coda?
Cup at
Xfinity
Coda.
race. I don't think he raced Cup at Coda.
In Xfinity at Coda, yeah, he was second place before he got DQ'd.
Yeah, he was second on the last lap, and then he got the time penalty for track limits.
So did Chase Elliott on Sunday. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because we heavily debated that one about.
Yeah, that freaking track limits was killing the whole race.
There's just beware, guys. There's no track limits here, unfortunately, because there's maybe hardly any runoff.
Yeah,
it's concrete K barriers all the way around.
I do want to. Actually, this is something that came up, and this is from David Land. I saw it the other day. IndyCar is in talks with Chicago to have a possible doubleheader weekend next year at the Chicago Street Course.
I would be curious about that because of the fact that the doubleheaders, again, I think we touched on this last week. Doubleheaders really didn't work all that well for either series in terms of attendance at the Indy race.
So IndyCar wants to be at Chicago. David
Land obviously wants to be at Chicago.
At that,
but the question is whether or not they're willing to be the.
They were thinking about Chicagoland Speedway too, as well.
Well, yeah, and then that's its own question mark. But
that would actually be kind of cool. Have the IndyCars at the Oval and then the Cup Series on the street course. That wouldn't actually be too bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. But my point being, though, is that if they were to be on the same track, would IndyCar be okay with being the bridesmaid or essentially the pairing with NASCAR as the headliner?
I can go ahead and tell you that IndyCar will never be in Chicagoland.
Chicagoland Speedway?
Never.
They've been in talks last few years.
The only reason is because if they bobble their car one time, they're dead. They're going to run right into the wall.
Well,
you,
but you
you
could say the
remember they
same
used
thing
to
about.
race.
I mean, you could say the exact same thing about Indianapolis, but
Well,
they
exactly, and they've looked throughout their history of the
They
a
had
lot of
one.
people have died of that
I'm,
place.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's only been one incident, besides Paul Dana in 2006, and then that was one
Dan
freak
Weldon.
act. That Dan
yeah,
Weldon,
Dan
he wanted,
Weldon in
that was a
2011
freak.
is the most prevalent.
They should,
But I mean,
but Las Vegas is not a suitable track for IndyCar. It's too fast. But the Chicagoland has less
If you think
banking.
Chicagoland is, if that's a way
Chicago-
wider course,
Play wider
yeah,
course,
but I
but
mean,
it's
also
way
remember
wider
they
speedway.
faced Texas for like 5, 6, 7 years without major injury.
when I think of Chicagoland, I think of like a Dover.
Chicagoland is also one. It's bumpy. It's flatter. It has
Yes.
less banking than. They said that Chicagoland had some of the best racing in IndyCar though.
Well, yeah, it had the best racing throughout the mid 2000s, and it was on there. It actually used to be their
Chicagoland,
season finale.
Chicagoland, and I believe Kansas are two of the best races in IndyCar.
Yeah, but yeah, true. Well, maybe
But
I'm wrong. I
Yeah,
could be wrong.
But Val,
and then Texas before the repave was a pretty good race too.
Actually, but I'm gonna say, but Val, if you think about it, the IndyCars are safer today than they were back in 2011.
Well,
for sure.
easily. I mean, look at all the improvements made after Justin Wilson's accident at Pocono.
Dan Weldon would have survived that wreck if he had the air screen. But anyway, sorry about that, Greg. We got off topic.
No, you're good.
We actually
real
kind
quick,
of circled back to a topic that got lost in the shuffle.
yeah, I was going to say
There was an
quick,
IndyCar
while we're on the topic, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about the breaking IndyCar news that came out today?
Yeah, so today while I was at the track, I got the notification over on Twitter that Arrow McLaren has opted to, at the end of this current season, part ways with Alexander Rossi, who is in a contract and is replacing him with Christian Lundgaard out of the Rahal Letterman seat. So that leaves a Rahal car open and Rossi now while looking for a ride.
But and I'm gonna also say that with IndyCar, we didn't get to mention it because it was a couple weeks ago and we didn't do a podcast. But this was a couple weeks old, I understand. But IndyCar to be streamed on all Big Fox next season.
We did talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Also, IndyCars are going to be running hybrid engines at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Circuit this weekend.
Yep.
And it's going to actually reduce the ICE is reduced to, it's usually about 700 horsepower for the horsepower on the road courses. It's going to be reduced to about 650 with about 80 to 100 horsepower MGUK and MGUH, just like F1. It's going to have a similar system to F1. It's going to have ERS, and it's also going to have it's actually going to be like just the push to pass enhanced like ERS.
All right.
And IndyCar has been rumored to actually test out DRS the offseason too as well.
But going back to the McLaren thing though, this is now the second driver that McLaren's replaced within a couple of weeks.
Theo Pourchaire, yep. Theo Pourchaire.
And I mean, even going back before that, I mean, they put Theo Pourchaire, they had named him the full-time replacement of David Malukas back at the Indy Road Course at the Indy GP in May. Mm-hmm. So that's literally like 3 full driver changes at that team within like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, again, the Rossi thing isn't effective immediately. Rossi will get to run the remainder of this season and basically audition for other rides. He's currently, I think, 6th in points.
Mm-hmm. I'm also going to add on.
Meanwhile, Christian Lundgaard currently sits in the 11th position, I believe, in points currently.
I'm also going to bring up F1 news.
All right.
Over the weekend, Australian Grand Prix, George Russell won the race after a crazy finish with Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Neither of them got a penalty, but Esteban Ocon got a 10-second penalty for the incident I believe it was on the start where they hit Oscar Piastri. But he got a 10-second penalty and 2 penalty points with that, and he is opted out of his contract with Alpine next season. And Pierre Gasly has re-signed with Alpine.
But so I think the big question for IndyCar going forward is going to be, where does Rossi go? I mean, this would be the same. I think this would be a similar equivalent to if Joey Logano was out at Penske or.
I'm going to say this right now. Roman Grosjean is out of contract year with Rahal Letterman.
Roman Grosjean's not at Rahal.
What team is he's? Oh, that's right, he's not.
He's at Juncos.
He's on a contract year. So is, I believe, who is it? Who else is on it? Oh yeah, Graham Rahal is on contract year as well.
Well, yeah, but Rahal will get an extension. There's no real doubts there. Now,
Graham Rahal, I like Graham Rahal. Anyway, before we get off topic of him, we should finish that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, again, that'll be the thing that the rumor mill will definitely swirl going around about where Rossi goes. And I think give it a week or two, we might start to hear some actual rumors rather than just us speculating.
Hey, Jamie, you got any trivia this week? Got any trivia this week, Jamie?
Jamie.
Sorry, I was on mute. No.
You have no trivia this week?
No trivia.
There's a grandma.
Oh, hey, you know what? I can pull up a trivia question real quick. Let's go to the NASCAR Fan Rewards question of the week.
Ooh, that's a good one, actually.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
All right.
How many turns does the Chicago Street Course have? 6,
13.
8, 10, or 12?
12.
8.
Yep.
It's 12.
Yep.
1.
One.
Funny enough,
Freaking
Brian,
drag strip.
to be fair, I kind of can't take that one, so I'm literally looking at it right now on iRacing.
Yeah. I just
Cheater.
needed to know the answer for myself so I could get the free fan reward points for NASCAR's fan reward system.
But yes, it is 12.
Yeah,
you heard it here first. We got a cheater.
I put in the answer and got it right. Got my bonus 13 points.
Nah, for real though, I was actually just looking at it because I was about ready to hop into a cup race there.
But for real though, it'd be a good time to say thank you to the Alkali Project once again, and
Yep. And all of our sponsor affiliates, Fanatics, W Energy, Bulletproof Coffee, Duke Cannon, Sleeves, Century PC, and Fubo TV. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
And
you guys have a good night.
With that, I'm Greg, and for Jamie, Ryan, Valentino, JP, and Tyler, this has been The Lap Down, and we will see you guys after the Chicago Street Course.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Cheers.
Stay safe with 4th of July.